I don't know
I'm
if
sorry.
you noticed, but I was stuttering left and right.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
First time.
All right, let's try again. Abdurrahman, good to see you, man. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for sending me the right address as well.
No worries. This is our reshoot because I actually didn't turn on the camera, so we've been shooting for a few minutes without recording. So it's good to see you, man. Thank you for coming out.
It's good to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Jazakallah khairan.
It's 3 a.m. at Zico's right now in Tampa. So alhamdulillah, it's my first shoot at a restaurant. So let's see how this goes.
Also, shout out Roasted.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did that. So shout out to Roasted, Muhammad Saad, courtesy of Muhammad Saad.
Shout out Muhammad Saad.
This is batlawa and some sort of Turkish roll. So good stuff. I'm not sure what the Turkish roll is, but I like the batlawa, frankly. What about you?
Yeah.
You
the
like
Turkish one was good, but it was a bit dry for me. But
oh really?
Good. I like things when they're like a bit saucy and
same.
Sweet.
Yeah, I like it when it's like soft and mushy.
Yes.
I don't like
not fruits though. I can't eat soft fruits.
Yeah, you need a hard apple, not a soft, squishy apple. Yeah. Are you? Does this bring you back home, like the Turkish sweet? Because you're half Turkish.
So I'm not like fully half Turkish. Just like some of my ancestors are Turkish.
Oh, okay.
Like great grandparents and stuff. So I just like roll with it.
So both your parents are Egyptian?
Both my parents are Egyptian, yes.
Oh, then you're Egyptian, bro. Hey, there's no
I
Turkish in there.
I guess I'm Egyptian. I just love the Turkish culture so much, so I try to assimilate with them. Like all I do is watch Turkish shows. I don't know if you've heard of Uyanis and Alp Arslan.
Alp Arslan I have, but the real guy, not the movie or show.
Okay. Yeah, there's a show. You guys should definitely check it out. It shows the history of how the Turkish people became into power and how the Ottoman Empire was formed, and it's just very interesting to watch. And they put their own twist to it as well.
I hear you.
I'm gonna just close this so the
go ahead. Have you seen Ertugrul? And then I'm just gonna fix the camera real quick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I've seen Ertugrul. That's what kind of got me into the whole Turkish warriors thing. So honestly, I can't imagine like back in the day where all they had to do was focus on just not being killed, and it was just a whole different mindset, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So
there's also another good show I saw back before it became like just a Turkish drama. Have you seen the Sultan Abdulhamid series?
I actually started it and I couldn't get through it just because it wasn't as intense as Ertugrul and Osman and all the others.
Yeah.
But it's very good. I feel like it's very accurate as well.
Yeah.
And the guy even looks like the actual Sultan. So.
Yeah. They said that it was far more accurate than Ertugrul just because it was closer in time, and so they said that they considered it 70% accurate. Then they added some drama for TV. I liked it frankly just because of the political tactics. You know what I mean, like the ploys and the whatnot, and the backstabbing. Like his brother-in-law tried to take him down, and
it's
he
the
caught
people
him.
Closest to you that
damn right.
Watch out for.
Wallahi. But anyway, so you're on TikTok. Are you a full-time TikToker?
So I just started off during COVID, just messing around. Nobody could really see me, so I was just goofing off over there. And then, like, one video would blow up, and then the other started blowing up. So then, it was kind of a hobby, and then it started being really fun for me. And I always knew I wanted to like inspire the youth to become closer to the Deen and stuff. Because growing up, I had people who inspired me to become closer to Islam. And I feel like Islam is something that it's taught by the parents and by your teachers and whatnot, but everyone has their own journey with Islam. So if you don't find it for yourself and you don't feel that connection with God, then I feel like it's going to be very hard for you to fully have faith in everything that Islam talks about and everything whatnot. So alhamdulillah, I was able to kind of reconnect with the Deen on myself through Islamic lectures, Hamza Yusuf, Omar Suleiman, all those great role models of mine. So, and then now alhamdulillah, I feel like I'm doing the same thing. I can kind of show people that you don't have to be insanely religious to do everything you want in life. It's all about balance, So just get the 5 prayers in, and then you have time for school, working out, enjoying time with your friends and stuff. So alhamdulillah, now I feel like I'm branching off onto YouTube because I feel like I can show more of my personality, and people have longer attention spans on YouTube, TikTok is just like 5 seconds, 6 seconds,
right?
And it's just like I feel like I can have more of an impact through YouTube, inshallah.
So you this is like it's not a main thing. What's your main thing?
Right now I'm in dental school. That's my main thing. That takes up a lot of my time, and I didn't really start off with dental. I started off as engineer, but I couldn't get through Calc 1 and Calc 2, so I just I kept having W's in there, and then I found my way through dentistry, inshallah, alhamdulillah.
Inshallah.
So that's what
How you liking it?
I love it, honestly. It's just very studious. That part I don't really like, but the hand skills part, I love it. So.
What year are you in right now for dental
I just
school?
started. It's my first year.
Okay.
So in about 4 weeks, we'll finish our first year, inshallah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So we're going to have you in Florida for a little bit.
I'll be here for the next 2 years, inshallah.
Awesome.
And
okay.
Then, yeah.
And then you're going back to Houston.
Well, my 4th year, we're going to be purely going to clinic. So either I'm going to be shipped out to Erie or Defuniak Springs. That's also in Florida. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, Erie. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So we have you for a few years.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. What have you been up to these days?
Well, my full-time job, I'm a product manager.
Okay.
Yeah, I work for a startup. But I've enrolled recently, last fall, at the Islamic Seminary of America.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
It's Sheikh Yasir Qadhi's university.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know Yasir Qadhi. He's in Dallas.
Yeah.
So is it an online thing, or do you go to Dallas?
Yeah, it's a hybrid model. So you go in person for some classes, and then you're online for others. And then I think there's plans to make it fully in person, but right now, yeah, it's online.
Well, what made you pick that one versus like Zaytuna or?
Well, Zaytuna was hella expensive. It was just really expensive because it's like boarding school. You have to move to California.
I see.
So you can't really do it alongside a full-time job.
Yeah.
There's other options too. There's Al-Maghrib Institute. It is now a real degree program.
That's by Omar Suleiman or Noman Ali Khan?
No. So Noman Ali Khan is Bayna Academy.
Okay.
That's like Arabic mostly. And then Al-Maghrib is like, it's where Sheikh Yasir Qadhi used to be.
Oh,
and so there's a bunch of other scholars there.
Okay.
There is also Sheikh Shadi's Institute Safina Society, but it's also just like an after-school program.
He was here in Tampa a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to see him?
Yeah. I did. We actually took him out to dinner at Istanbul, the restaurant. We had a very fun conversation about khilafah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish we could establish khilafah these days.
Yeah.
I would be 100% for that.
Yeah. I saw your TikTok. It was like, man, why don't the Muslims just get together and build a khilafah, and then epic music plays.
The reason is because the British divided us, like back in the day.
Yeah.
They made us very nationalistic, like, oh, you're Egyptian, you're going to be Syrian, you're going to be whatnot.
Yeah.
But back in the day, we were all under the Ottoman Empire. Like, that was the last, I feel like, khilafah that we had.
Yeah.
And that wasn't too far ago. It was only 200 maybe years ago. So to think how much has changed in 200 years, they're very smart. It was divide and conquer. So they just split us all apart. Actually, if you guys didn't know, the Ottomans were in charge of Mecca and Medina.
Right.
And they had a railroad that connected all the cities along the way. And the British didn't like that because it made Muslims very, very powerful. And like through trade and all that. Because trade is where the money comes in.
Yeah.
So we were just too powerful and we had so much land. And they thought of a way like to divide us. So it's really sad actually once you start looking into it. They gave Palestine to the Jews. They started bringing them in waves. And honestly, I don't know what gave the British the power to do that because they were not in charge of that land. But it's very sad. You know, you mentioned Sultan Abdul Hamid. They talk about that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And he was like the last bastion of hope for Muslims because he was defending, he was stopping that from happening. But honestly, and this is just the rhetoric around khilafah, and this is what we were talking about at the restaurant with Sheikh Shadi. The way Muslims envision khilafah today, it's kind of a copy and paste model from the past. You know what I mean? And a person posed this question to a big scholar, Sheikh Hassan al-Dedu. He's like a big shot. And someone asked him, like, you know, why don't we have one? Why can't we have, you know, the questions like that, right? And he basically said that, well, Muslims can basically work towards something to that effect. And it doesn't have to be what you're saying, to destroy borders, you know, and to say there's no more national identity, there's no more national this, no more culture. It can be just like, and this is exactly what he said, the European Union, you know, and a coalition of Islamic states that are foreign policy, they're all working together, but internally they have self-governing, because we never really had one khilafah, right? It's always been a couple. Every single time there's been like, you know, the Mughals, the Ottomans, the Safavids, it's always been a couple of people, and everyone's calling themselves Amir al-Mu'mineen. So, I mean, I totally agree. You know, Muslims need some way of defending and protecting themselves. That could just be juicing up what they have today, which is the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Countries. And it's headed, I think...
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and it's headed by Turkey for now, but I don't know if it switches. I think it switches every few years. And they can literally just take that model and build it back up again. But for me, it's not the most important thing, because as an American Muslim, I think that, you know, and this is exactly what Sheikh Yasir Qadhi says, that the goal of American Muslims should be to should be preservation and propagation. You know, preserve your Islamic identity, retain it for yourself and your children, pass it on, and then also propagate your belief. And it doesn't have to be active da'wah. It could be passive da'wah. You know what I mean? It could be just people see that you're an upstanding Muslim and you're a great dentist, and you're also killing it in some other aspect of your life. You know what I mean?
That's actually the goal, inshallah, to inspire others through just character, not even like just actual. Because you know, when you preach too much, like people don't want to listen.
100%.
But if it's more actions over words. So if you show them like your character, for example, you go out of your way to do something nice to someone. It could be even like paying for the person's meal if they can't afford it. Something small. Yeah. It just shows like, and then if they see a bunch of Muslims doing that, they're like, okay, something's going on with the religion. Like, it's not even just one Muslim, it's every Muslim that I come across. Yeah. So I fully agree with that.
Yeah. And I think it's a bigger threat to us to lose our own Islamic identities in the West than it is to seek out political authority. You know what I mean? Like for example, we in a course we took called The History of Islam in America, there was a whole group of immigrant Muslims to the United States between World War I and World War II that came and completely lost the faith. Like by second generation, they lost their deen. Actually, I was just discussing this on a podcast with some friends. Yeah. And that's a scary thought, man. Like, because it happened before too in South America.
It is.
And that's why you'll find some people with Muslim names, Muslim recipes, like not Muslim, but like Arab, you know, typical Arab food. Yeah. And none of them are Muslim because they completely stopped practicing. And so I think that's like a bigger threat to us, is to be able to understand Islam in the context of modern society, which is the goal of the Islamic Seminary of America. Not to plug them, but that's what he says, is that we need a forward-thinking approach. You know, we need to retain the Islamic values while knowing how to apply it in today's world. And we need to make our own scholars and not keep importing them. So, but anyway.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I wanted to drop something. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't know how open you are to sharing your opinions. Huh?
Here it comes.
So what do you think about this Mufti Menk controversy?
I don't know what's going on. Honestly, I just I always see people trying to like bring him down, and I just seen like on TikTok people are saying everyone's trying to cancel Mufti Menk, but I haven't really even heard anything about it. So if you want to share what's going on.
I mean, it's just he was he was doing Umrah, he said. Okay. This is the rebuttal video that he uploaded. There was an article that came out from Al Jazeera that said that he shared a table with a staunch Zionist that was responsible for the orchestration of the normalization policy in the UAE. So he's like not only an Israeli, not only a Zionist, but also, you know, someone that worked towards normalization. And so they were like, why did he share a table with that guy? And they were blasting him. And then he shared a video saying, you know, that article was rubbish. He straight up called it rubbish. Yeah. And he said it was a smear campaign. And he said that he was doing Umrah, and he was invited for a dawah event in the UAE for an interfaith iftar.
I see. So and he probably didn't know that.
Yeah, and so people are saying, either you're saying that he's dumb and naive, or you're saying that he did it intentionally. Which one is it? And they say, okay, he's a mufti. There's no way he's dumb and naive. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I was talking to a friend of mine. I was like, bro, what if he was literally just going for a dawah event and then he got set up? He's like, bro, don't be so naive. I was
no, you know, as Muslims, we're supposed to always give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
I really fully do not think he's the type of guy to just go out and sit on a table with people like that. Yeah. And he honestly, like, you know, people will do everything they can to bring the people up there down. So, like, you can see people just jumping to attack him. Like, they don't even know what's going on, and they're, like, ready to just tear him down. Yep. And I feel like he's done so much good for humanity, especially as like a bunch of non-Muslims follow him, and if you see his Twitter page, he's always tweeting like the most relatable things.
100%.
And he's helped a lot of people out of depression and everything. So people will always look at someone who's like up there and they just don't like it, or maybe they just envy him and they try to bring him down. And like people don't. There's always a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we don't know. So, and I feel like he's so adamant about his deen, mashallah. Yeah. So he wouldn't like go out of his way to go sit on a table like that. So
yeah, I think that people are making a lot of assumptions. Yeah. And Dili Hussein from the Blood Brothers podcast, great guy from the UK, was calling him a sellout celebrity sheikh. Mm-hmm. I think that's really harsh jargon. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can call people that just off of what you saw, because you know maybe you missed out on some details. Yeah. Like I think that a lot of people want to tear down people that they're jealous of, that that they spite, you know what I mean, that they hate. Like for example, you're on TikTok you have, mashallah, a very good following, very large following. I'm sure there's someone that's jealous of you right now. You know what I mean?
So a lot of people do come, like whenever I do something wrong, for example, I'll show my awra or I'll share a clip and add music to it. Honestly, I really love the criticism, because believe it or not, it's helped me become a better person, because it's just like, you know, like after like multiple videos, like my vlogs, they used to always be like music in the background, you know? So, and then after multiple times, people be like, bro, astaghfirullah, like you should change it. Like imagine every single person that hears a song, you'll get the bad deed for it, and you just sit there and you think about it and you're like, you know what, they have a point. And subhanallah, like once I've changed to nasheeds, it's been even, I feel way more comfortable. Like going to sleep at night, I'm like, okay, like I'm not getting sins for something. Like I'm actually bringing people closer to the deen. And also one thing you should realize is whenever someone's made it, like Mufti Menk, like us talking about him will always bring people's attention. You know what I mean? Like you put Mufti Menk's name in anything, people will be like, okay, Mufti Menk, I'm gonna come watch that. Yeah. So if it's very controversial, the more controversial it is, the more people will want to listen to it. So I feel like a lot of people are also just using that as a means to get more clout to their channels and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just on music, I mean, I totally respect that position. You know, some people that they say it's haram. I don't think it is, and there's a bunch of scholars that are of that opinion. So it's fine either way, honestly. Yeah. Obviously, we're not talking about explicit lyrics, which is 90% of music today. Music that obviously is haram from lyrics. But I think anytime there's a person that is popular, sorry, my volume is peaking. Let me just drop this a tiny bit. I think anytime there's like a person that's like popular or, that's on social media and has a large following, people always try to make up a story to discredit them. You know what I mean? Yeah. What were you saying again exactly? Just about people not being who they really seem?
The thing about social media and just people in general, like, I'm not going to name drop anyone, but you will see people and they will be the best huffaz, mashallah. Like, you'll look at them and you'll think they're the biggest shuyukh, mashallah. Like, even me, you can look at me and you can be like, wow, this guy seems so religious. Like, that's what we want you guys to see. You know what I mean? So you can, like, I'm not going to name drop anyone, but you will see like these huffaz and like people who are the highest levels in status in society, and you just have no idea what they're doing behind the scenes. Yeah. And you'll be shocked. Like, once you figure out what's going on behind the scenes, you'd actually be shocked. Like, for example, I don't even know the kid's name, but one time, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with. Actually, I shouldn't say this. I don't want to.
No, you're
talk
fine.
bad about anyone. But just don't look at someone on social media, especially even me, like literally anyone, and be like, wow, this guy, has the perfect life, mashallah, he's so religious. Like, look at the good they're doing and try to aspire to be like them. But at the end of the day, no one's perfect. Everybody sins. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Some sins are bigger than others, but I would say like social media is very deceiving. So.
Yeah, I think if we just look at it from from a religious perspective. It says there's a hadith that from the perfection, the Prophet ﷺ said, from the perfection of one's religion is leaving that which does not concern him. And so I think when people dig into other people's lives, they're first of all, they're doing a disservice to themselves because they're wasting their time. Yeah. And then second of all, it's not from the sunnah. You're supposed to just stay in your lane. Yeah. Worry about yourself. And then also the ayah says, inna ba'd al-dhanni itham. Yeah, exactly. Some of what you assume can be a sin. Yeah. And so I totally agree. I mean, obviously, some people live lives that are completely opposite from reality. But there's really nothing we can do about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like the best thing to do is, for example, you look at someone who inspires you in a way. Yeah. And just take the best from him. But don't, like, fully idolize someone. Don't look at someone like, oh, I have to be like this guy, or this guy is so perfect, I would love to be like him. Just take the best from, so no one's perfect in their own, everyone's perfect in their own way, and at the same time everyone has their flaws. So for example, you can look at someone and be like, I wish I knew as much Quran as him, and then go out and seek that knowledge, Or you can look at someone and be like, oh, he's so strong at the gym, and be like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna start hitting the gym today. But don't look at someone and then think that you want to imitate every single thing in their lives, because no one is perfect,
100%.
Like, so that's just my take on it.
I hear you. Yeah, I mean, just, linking it back to Mufti Menk, I still think people are trying to tear him down just because of who he is. Yeah. I could be wrong about that. Maybe, oh my God, this guy turns out loves Israel, I have no idea.
Yeah, even if he's naive, like, it's fine. He's human. He's not like a super, he's not like Superman where he can just know everything about everyone, you know? Like, he has good intentions. He came to an interfaith meeting. He was out there to give da'wah. So maybe someone set him up to, because if you look at the picture, I saw the picture you were talking about. Yeah. It literally just has him and Zionists right next to each other. Yeah. So they don't show anyone else. They don't. It's like, it's for sure, like, to me, it looks like a setup. So
yeah, and you know what else is I think we often assume the worst. Mm-hmm. You know, we from the get go we hop on something, and someone just makes up the worst story. That must be true. Whereas obviously you're supposed to give you know, the excuses.
So the thing I would say about that is that all comes from within yourself. You know, if you're a bad person, it'll be so easy for you to just think the worst of everyone. Yeah. But if you're a kind-hearted person and you just want to assume the best in everyone, you will look at a certain situation and you'll be like, okay, like, there's something going on. Like, for example, the I'm not sure how accurate this is, but there's that one person that if you were to see alcohol on someone's beard, 100%. You would give him the benefit of the doubt and be like, oh, someone spilt it on him. He wasn't drinking. Yeah. So it's just always give people the benefit, and it'll make you feel so much more pure. And, you know, when you have so much ill in your heart, it really messes with you, and you just start assuming the worst out of everyone, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and that quote, by the way, from the scholar, he also said, and this part is kind of funny, he says that if I saw a man standing on top of a mountain saying, I am your Lord, worship me, I would have thought he was reciting the ayah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they went to that length, then we can give the man an excuse of saying, maybe he didn't know, or maybe he had good intentions, because there's a lot of stuff that's gray in Islam. You know what I mean? Like, there's the part, okay, there's black and white, like alcohol is haram, we get that. But what about the part about whether or not it's permissible, for example, for Muslims to stand hand in hand with LGBT at a rally? Yeah. Some scholars were totally okay with that. I just had an interview with Imam Zaid, and he was totally okay with that. And some scholars say they're opposed to it. They say, no, you shouldn't be united on anything. And both sides have evidences that they cite for their positions. Yeah. And so when Sheikh Omar Suleiman was at that vigil for, I think it was for refugees that were, you know, harshly put in prison, the refugee kids, and he was at that vigil with Christians and non-Muslims. Yeah. And he poured a drink, and someone said, this is a reenactment of shirk and kufr and polytheism. It's like, dude, why don't you just take a second to think about what went down and see if there's any, you know, evidence for his position, which there is. Yeah. You know, and there's the people cite the Sahabi who went to the Prophet ﷺ, and he asked about slaughtering his sheep at a place called Bawana. And Bawana was a place that the Prophet ﷺ forbid slaughtering because it used to be a place for rituals and the polytheistic rituals, and he forbade it. Yeah. But at this instance, when the man asked again years later, he asked him, and the Prophet ﷺ said, do you still have any, what do you call it, ignorance in your heart of Bawana? Meaning, do you still adore that place as if it was the place of rituals and sacrifice? He said, no. He said, then go. So Bawana just became halal. Yeah. And it was a place for rituals and sacrifice. I see. So it all goes back to what the scholars say, that, you know, that everything is based on intentions. Did Shaykh Muhammad Salman grab that cup and pour it with the intent of glorifying the Greek god of Odin or some crap, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or did he pour it because it was part of, you know, the social activity that you say something nice about the refugees and you pour from this cup? Yeah. Which one makes more sense? See, the thing is, it's all about intentions. You just never know. And that's between you and Allah, you know? Like, you can do anything you want. I think in Sahih Bukhari, the first hadith ever is إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. So every action you do is all solely off your intention. You can, for example, go to pray Isha and not have the right intention, like you're going to show off, and you won't get any reward for it. Yeah. But you go to with the right intention, you'll always get the good rewards for it. Yep, exactly. So. But anyway, that's Mufti Menk. Anything else you want to dive into?
I'm open to anything. So yeah, if you have any other questions.
So when are you getting married, brother?
When am I getting married? That's a good question. I'm working on it, inshallah. Yeah. Hopefully soon. We'll see.
A lot of guys will say, "Oh no, I'm postponing," but really they are looking. They just don't want to say.
Yeah. Like, bro, no, for me, ever since I was a kid, I knew as soon as I turned 18, I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna have kids at 20. Yeah. But like, you know how life is. Life just goes on.
Yeah. So, for sure.
But alhamdulillah, like if I have an opportunity, I'll get married right away. You know, like that's something I feel like one thing that society should normalize is, even if the guy and girl don't have the means to, they should just get the Islamic marriage done, the Katb al-Kitab, because they're gonna like it or not, they're gonna see each other at school anyways. They're gonna be talking. Like, I've seen the most religious kids coming from the most strict backgrounds back home in their own household go to uni, and then they just hang out like with girls and guys. Like, no, like that's just the way it is, you know. I'm not gonna say I sat here and sat in a corner and didn't talk to any girls in undergrad.
Yeah.
That's just, you have the MSA events, you have classmates. I feel like instead of parents trying to get their kids to never talk to a woman unless it's the mahram, they should teach them the proper etiquettes of talking to women. And you know, the sahabas have interactions with females all the time, 100%. You know. So it's like a norm. It shouldn't be like a taboo or like, don't look at girls, don't talk to girls. Like, no, it should be like, okay, this is how to talk to girls. Or because how are you gonna expect to get married to someone or to fancy someone if you don't even know how to talk to them properly?
Exactly. Or if you've never even seen them in the first place.
Exactly.
You know.
So I just think like arranged marriage. There's two types of arranged marriages. You know, there's the ones where you actually sit down, get to know the person, and like, okay, yeah, this could work. And then there's the one where it's like, okay, y'all are gonna get married without seeing each other, and that's completely against our religion. So,
yeah, in terms of like the social interaction, obviously this is another gray area, right? Like what's halal between the genders.
Just because it's not talked about enough, you know.
Yeah, and I think that okay, so here's my take on it, which is the one from, you know, some scholars that I look up to. There's a multitude of evidences in the seerah that show that the sahabiyat and the sahaba had much closer of an interaction than we think. And then people dismiss that and say, oh, but there was a better generation. It's like, no, like this is literally as they're being trained, you know, as they're being built up.
See, I don't even know anything. Like, I've never even heard about any of. I know they must have had it because like they all live in the same area, and
like
I just don't know.
Yeah. If you look at the masjid, like the first masjid, or actually the second, not Quba, so the masjid in Medina, the sahabiyat were sitting so close to the sahaba that there's a narration. I believe the sahabiya, her name is Fatima bin Qais, and she was sitting so close to a sahabi in front of her. She was like the first line for the woman, and this is the last line of the men that she's sitting next to.
Yeah.
She's sitting so close to him that she can say to him, and he can hear her in a gathering, that, like, because there was a shout, there was a cry after the Prophet ﷺ said something. She couldn't hear what the Prophet ﷺ said, so she asked the sahabi, she said, brother, what did the Prophet ﷺ say? And then he said, oh, he was just announcing that everyone will feel the torment of the grave.
Okay.
If she was able to ask that question and get a response, he had to have been within like a few feet.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about a gathering of people in a building, in the masjid, and there's a lot of people, so you can't hear that well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's one instance.
Yeah.
And then there's instances of the sahabiyat like knowing other sahaba by name. How could the sahaba and the sahabiyat know each other by name if they were just all covered up all the time?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and that's the sahaba. Like, okay, what about us?
Exactly.
You know? So when Sheikh Asghali came out and said, look, like, you should wear the jilbab, but there's a minimum that is also allowed, and it's not the jilbab. It's just loose clothing. When he comes out with a position like that, you know what I mean? And he has basis for it. And he brings out the evidence for it. People attack him and assume he's liberalizing Islam. Yeah. When all he's doing is showing you another view. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I feel like the thing that people don't realize is there's so many different madhahib, and there's so many. Islam isn't just, some things like you said are black and white, but there's a lot of other things that are just gray areas. You just don't know. And there are some, you can just follow what the scholars say, and every scholar I feel like has their own view on it. And I'm not saying they're right and I'm not saying they're wrong. It's just whatever you feel Islamically comfortable with, you know what I mean? Because we have the seerah and we have the hadith, and I feel like it goes such in depth. Like, if you look at any other religion and you look at our religion, no religion has been preserved as our religion. So there's always something that you can go back to and look at a certain incidents or something if you have any questions about anything.
Yeah, for sure. And you would look at their evidences that they cite, you know. Exactly. And no one can just walk around and say, you know what, guys, actually zina is halal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Actually, that verse, it's abrogated, this is why. Because they have no basis for it. And what you do is you follow the mashhur, you follow the majority, you follow the jama'ah. And so when people have ijma' on something, that's a legitimate basis for Islam, you know, right there with Quran and Sunnah. It's very high up in terms of importance. Yeah. The thing about when people, this is my problem. When I upload something on TikTok, right, and it's an Islamic question, like, can a woman marry without a wali? And then the sheikh cites, like, I had an interview with Imam Khalid, and he cited the Hanafi position that actually you can. Yeah. People assume the worst about the guest speaker. They assume this man, and Muslims for some reason, they're very prone to believe in conspiracies. I don't know why. Yeah. But they believe the world is out to get them, that the world is run by Zionists, and they're all united against Muslims and everyone. Russia, it's all a game. Muslims are the ones losing. You know what I mean? And
there's actually a hadith about that.
Yeah.
The one where there's gonna come a time when the Muslims are gonna be like food eaten at a table. So like, you're gonna have a bunch of, I don't even know who Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was talking about, but it does seem like that sometimes, because if you look at media, you'll see that Muslims are talked about all the time when it comes to terrorism. Yeah. But you won't see, like, they won't be calling the white kids that shoot up the school terrorists. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So there is definitely an agenda against Muslims, just because everyone knows how powerful Muslims could be if they wanted to, if they united. Yeah. But at the same time, Muslims should not like victimize themselves for everything that happens, you know?
Right. So here's the question about that, right? Do we think that Muslims are targeted just because they're Muslim and there's a crusade against Islam itself? Or is it because Muslim majority lands have resources that are within national interests of other nations? Yeah. You know, is it important to the United States to be involved in the Middle East because they hate Muslims, or because the United States needs oil?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's a lot simpler than we make it out to be. I think that people are just acting in their own interest. Yeah. Like, the United States is acting in its own geopolitical interest, the same as any other country in the world. And it just so happens that Muslims happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, imagine if it was Sikhs or Hindus or Buddhists.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other nations that have all that minerals and all like the oils and stuff. I don't know like geographically where, but I feel like Muslims are an easier target because they know that there's no accountability. Like, look what they did to Libya, look what they did to Iraq and Afghanistan. Literally, no one stood up against. Like, we don't have a backbone. Like, we don't have one. Like, if we had one place that was actually extremely powerful and united, they wouldn't like mess with Muslim countries the way they do right now. Like, for example, I don't know other geographic countries, but let's just say, for example, Russia has like all the minerals and oils they want. Yeah. They would never go in and try to like assassinate the leader and be like, okay, there's terrorists here, we're gonna take over for you guys, we're gonna protect you guys. Yeah. Like, it's just like Russia's too powerful for them to do that. Yeah,
I think Russia, because it has nuclear weapons, so that's the problem. But for example, Venezuela, we could very well occupy Venezuela one day. Yeah. You know, the only problem is they're allied with Russia, so that's one issue there.
So that brings us back to the point where we don't really have allies. Like, but I feel like eventually, inshallah, Muslims will become so powerful. Like, we all know the hadith of Mahdi coming and all that. So maybe it's soon. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hedging my bet on it.
Yeah.
I feel fine in America. I'm a proud American. I like my country. I just think we need to reframe the narrative around Islam here. I think we need to do a better job. Muslims can't, Sheikh said this before, Muslims can't afford, Sheikh Shadi said it, Muslims can't afford to just have a career. You can't just be an engineer. You can't just be a doctor. You literally have to study Islam because you're being attacked.
Yeah.
You have to defend yourself. And it's a very different situation than if you were just an agnostic or a Christian or anything else, because no one's coming after you.
Yeah.
You know, you could pick up a hobby, you could become a pro tennis player, but as a Muslim, you need to
kind of have to go above and beyond.
Yeah, you can have a hobby, but you got to be involved in Islam in some capacity.
Yeah.
So
one thing I really respect, there's a new Muslim, Kyrie Irving. He's always showing his faith everywhere, mashallah. Yeah. It's very amazing. Yeah. And people will be like, okay, we're all Muslims here, like, but this guy has a platform and he is always using it to spread. And same thing, Muhammad Ali and Hakim Olajuwon, all these great people, Muhammad Salah, they 100%. Always like go out of their way to kind of like, they don't have to make the sujood after the soccer goal or whatever, but they just go out of their way to show that like you can be great and you can be Muslim at the same time.
100%. And you're doing a great job at it too, mashallah.
Thank you, bro.
You know, you're uploading dental videos and you're also doing Islamic content, and I think that's great, because I think there's a lot of people that are they have Islam, but it's cradled within them. You know what I mean? Like, they don't like to show it.
I see.
Because it's a little embarrassing, or they're shy or whatever. And so obviously Muhammad becomes Mo, and whatever other names get switched around.
I'm not gonna lie, I have a friend named Muhammad. I also call him Mo.
Oh, word? Okay.
Yeah, it's just because as Muslims we all know like Muhammad is Muhammad, you know. We all have nicknames for each other, like Ahmed, or we'll call him Zizo, or Abdurrahman, they call me Abdo, you know. I feel like sometimes the nicknames, it's not to hide your identity, it's just like that's just what your nickname is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
but
it could be.
If you're ashamed of it, like, that's a problem. But I feel like if it's the nickname that everybody calls you, then that's why whenever I see people like, oh, he's changing his name from Muhammad to Mo, Ahmed to Sam is a big one because it's just like, bro, like just call me Ahmed or Hamoudi or something. Like your actual nickname, I get that. But if it's a nickname, I don't think it's a big deal. But if you're actually trying to change your identity, like go out of your way. For example, like if you're a mechanic named Muhammad and you're calling yourself Bob, then it's like, okay, like what's going on over here?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like I understand. Like not in those cases. That's obviously they're not doing it for that. But in the cases where they are changing their names, I understand why they're scared and shy and afraid because they're being attacked. And they feel vulnerable. Like they don't feel like they can be Muslim and American at the same time. And I think we just need to step it up and show Muslims everywhere that, hey, you can be American and Muslim like you're doing. You can be totally normal.
Actually, people will be so respectful of you because they'll come up to you, they'll ask you stuff like, hey, would Allah get mad at you for this? Like, for example, one of my friends, he saw a guy shake a girl's hand, and he's like, would Allah get mad at him for that? And I started laughing because it caught me so off guard because you don't realize how much people are looking at you as a Muslim. And like no matter what you do, like you're doing a lot of things that normal people don't. Like for example, the 5 daily prayers or even fasting the 30 days, they'll look at you and they'll be like, bro, how are you doing this? Like, how are you in school right now? But it's just like you're not even trying to be different. Like Islam is just, it separates you from everyone by force. I feel like you don't even need to try to be different. You're always doing things that are just different. Normal people would not wake up at 5 a.m. to pray, to worship God.
Exactly.
Unless they're having like a serious problem. Like we do that on the regular, like problem or not, it's 5 a.m. we're gonna wake up, pray Fajr, you know? But non-Muslims or people in general who aren't practicing, they'll just be going with the flow. Like they don't have anything to. I feel like the prayers keep you very disciplined. Like you'll start building your life. For example, I'm gonna pray Asr and then I'm gonna go to the gym, or I'm gonna pray Fajr and then I'm gonna sleep a little bit and then I'm gonna go to school. You know? It's always something that's built into you, and it really kind of scheduleizes. It makes the schedule for your day.
100%. And I think that when you retain your identity, you're more respectable as a person.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You didn't just turn into like I hate it when I meet someone that has like a split personality. You know what I mean? Like a person that shows you a face at the masjid, like he's going inshallah, mashallah, like every other word is a Islamic word, and then outside of the masjid he's like swearing off like a sailor. You know what I mean? Like a person that is showing you a personality because he thinks that you would like that, whereas you're not being who you really are. Like,
so one thing I noticed is whenever you actually start using the Islamic terminology, people around you will start picking up on it. Like non-Muslims, they'll be like, "Salam, how are you today?" Or "Mashallah." Like it's actually like, so yesterday I was with my friend, we were working out, and I at the end of the workout I said I'm gonna go do this inshallah, and he was like, "What's that?" I was like, "That means if God wills." So he's like, so basically inshallah without the lot of part. I was like, yeah, whatever. If it sticks, it sticks. So you just be yourself and you'll gravitate people towards you. And you know, when you practice Islam to such a level where you're actually practicing Islam and being a decent human being, the way the Prophet ﷺ was, people will start noticing like, oh, this guy doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. How does he have so much fun in life? Like I'll have friends in my school, they'll be like, bro, no way, you've never drank before? And it's like, how are you so happy? Like, how are you so full of life? And it's like, I don't need to depend on that stimulant to bring me happiness. Like I have my prayers, I have my gym, like, you know, like it's like I feel like Islam gives you a higher purpose in life without having to depend on other things for stimulants.
100%. By the way, just on that note for gym, dude, what time do you work out, man? I have an issue with going to the gym and seeing it just completely full of distractions. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, my God, I can't work out here. There's no way. Like this is just straight up meat market. You know what I mean?
So alhamdulillah, like for me, I have to be very close to someone to see what's going on, because like right now I can see you, but it gets a little bit blurry. But like when I look into the distance, everything is kind of blurry. So alhamdulillah, Allah like blessed me with like half vision. But the thing about working out is you can't just go whenever you feel motivated, you know? And you can't like go to like, you know what you're saying, like where you want to go to at a time when it's empty. That's respectable, but it's very hard, you know, like 100%. You're gonna so Crunch is open 24/7, and if you really want to, you can go at 2-3 a.m. Like sometimes I do that just because of Ramadan.
Oh, which Crunch? Because the one here is like closes at like 10
I heard
PM.
There's only one in Tampa that's open 24/7.
Wow.
Yeah, but at my place in Bradenton, there's one that's 10 minutes away from me. It's open 24/7 Monday through Friday. And like when you go there, alhamdulillah, no distractions, completely empty. But you kind of have to train yourself mentally to get in that zone where it's like, I'm here to work out. I'm not here to get distracted. My bad. I'm not here to get distracted by anything or anyone. and you just do your own thing. And like a lot of people, like they start having a goal. They're like, okay, I'm gonna lose X amount of weight, and I'm so motivated. I'm gonna do this every day at X amount of time. Like, for example, 2 p.m. every day I'm gonna be at the gym. You know, eventually motivation dies off. So you just have to, like, apparently after 21 days of doing something, you build a habit. So I would say, just even when you're not feeling it, that's the best time to go, because it forces you to kind of get in the zone. And eventually you'll start feeling so weird. Like on your rest days, you'll be like, I need to go to the gym. Like, what am I doing with my life? Yeah. And not even like from a meathead aspect. It's just like, it's just it's like a part of you. It's like one of your 5 daily prayers. Like, I have to do this, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I'm literally going to switch gyms just because.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, wallahi. The way these girls dress in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I work out in Miami, so.
Oh, you live in Miami, or?
No, I live in Tampa. I have to go down to Miami sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
Let's just say it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But let me check the time real quick, because we have to have suhoor. It's 4 a.m.
Okay.
Should we pause here?
We can, inshallah.
Is this a good idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay with anything.
All right, let's go ahead and pause so we can do other stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming out.
Habibi, thank you for having me.
I'm down for another one ASAP if you are.
Whatever works for you, inshallah.
Let's do it, bro.
I have a lot of exams coming up, so
after the exams, inshallah.
For sure.
I appreciate
in the summer, after maybe May 30, I should be free. So I know it's in a while, but I'm down. One more month, I have like 6-7 exams.
It's all good, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much for having me. Jazakallah khairan.
I'll catch up with you soon, inshallah.
For sure, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.